Here.
Dennison Clark.
Here.
Becky Curtis.
Here.
Julie Osmond.
Here.
Alexander Williams.
Here. Next item on the agenda is our first public participation. If you wish to address the council, please come forward, sign in, state your name and address. And you can give it 5 minutes.
Be sure to speak in the microphone. People were not hearing you online last time. Thank you.
My name is Ross Worth. Address is 614 East 4th in Cameron. Tonight I've got some comments for the council to deal with the rather absurd rise in the bid for the Midwest Pool Management. I've chosen to read my remarks tonight to make sure that I stay on topic and don't miss important key points. With the recent additions to the town, such as the pool, ball fields, etc., it seems an interesting problem has developed. Management of these assets. I obviously wasn't part of the planning of these projects, but it seemed on both that every penny was spent and there's this thought of who was going to manage them and take care of them. Not enough money was saved back for the extra salaries of more employees, a management company, etc. So rather than going back to what has been done years previous, which was local management, a company from outside town has stayed on to manage the pool. Pool admission prices went up. Nothing like having a tax-funded project and then having to pay more to use it. It also appears that the ball fields are headed in the same direction. Bringing in an outside management company seemed a disaster last year for a multitude of reasons. But it looks like they're being welcomed back for another year, but at an 80% higher rates. With a combined total close to $300,000 to operate the pool for 3 months, seems rather ridiculous. Why? What is the reasoning? I don't feel that they even fulfilled last year's contract in several areas. Why pay more for less? MPM is a business. They operate for profit. The city also runs the pool as a business for profit. That leaves very little room to actually make money from the admission. But here we are, year number 2, and already there's a shortfall because spending is more than income. In the business world, too much of this practice and you won't have a business. If a new pool is already in the red, why should it have been built? Then it should have been built smaller or left alone until an actual plan was in place to run it. Also, while hiring outside companies, is there checks and balances where the city, as the customer, makes sure they're getting what they paid for? There are simply too many unanswered questions from last year and now this new price increase to even consider hiring them again for any dollar amount in my mind. When I had my business years ago, the chamber had a saying, shop Cameron first. With the increase in the 2023 contract rate, has there been any quoting process again for other companies? Why not consider local management? Our local teams staff the pool. I believe there are individuals that have and will do just as good a job as this outside agency to manage our own money paid for pool and allow it to actually make a profit, or better yet, not a loss. Wouldn't it be fun for once to offer lower admission prices so it was more affordable to more people? Making money on volume versus individually higher price sales will always yield a higher profit in the end. This is our pool, paid for by our money, ran by our kids, and I think it should also be managed by some of our residents. I've kept quiet on a lot of these issues, but I've reached my limit. Robbing Peter to pay Paul only works for so long. The shell game makes people uneasy how their money is being spent, and simply passing this MPM 2023 contract at its current cost without even so much as a hesitation or an explanation isn't being a good steward over the citizens' money or the city's assets. Something has to be done, and I think that involves thinking outside the box. Vote no for MPM and vote yes for Cameron. Thank you.
Thank you, Ross.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the council? Seeing none. Next item on the agenda is a consent agenda.
Item A, motion to approve the minutes of the January 17, 2023 council e-doc work session. Item B, motion to approve the minutes of the January 17, 2023 regular session. Item C, motion to approve a caterer's permit for Raymond Jewell, Walnut Creek Winery, for the Cameron Regional YMCA's annual Piccadilly Auction fundraiser on Friday, February 17, 2023.
Chair will entertain a motion to pass the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of passing the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Five in favor, 0. Next item on the agenda, we have some appointments. Those are just for review. And next we have city manager's report.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor. I have three quick things. One, the Great Northwest Wholesale Water Commission is trying to service the remaining 10 property owners for summons to court appearances. We have a request in that they be the 23rd or the 24th of February. We haven't received a date yet back from the court, and so until we get a date from the court, we can't service a summons on them. We're hoping it'll be the 23rd or the 24th so that we can get those 10 remaining property into an easement. It will not prevent us from moving forward. We'll just have to bypass those until we get the easements, but that would entail additional time and additional costs. So we're hoping that the court will make a date by the end of February where we can do the summons and get those additional pieces of property into the process for the Water Commission. We'll let you know as soon as we've got a fixed date for that. I also wanted to know, next item, I also wanted you to know that the Highway BB, we have got that group working again to do the Highway BB improvements. We've got additional traffic out there with Griffin Road completed this spring and other businesses there that is causing increased traffic on Highway BB, in particular the bridge. So we've got that put back together again as a working committee. We're going to work on it and see what we can do. We'll bring some information to you. I don't have anything specific now, but I just want to let you know that we're not ignoring that. We're working on that. And the last thing I wanted to say was we had the Public Works open house here on Wednesday at 6 p.m. and we had more than half of the chambers still. It was a great success, I think. There was great discussion from the public, and we'd like to do that again in the future, invite the public to come. It worked great, and I thank Eric Stevens for putting it together. That's all I have, Mayor. Do you have any questions for me?
No. I do. So, what are your thoughts on responding to ex-councilman Tory Sloan's letter and getting together with Mr. London? Have you thought about how you guys are going to get it together? Oh, Lord.
That's the button.
Yeah, I know. Just get off of my head.
We just took the button off, Chief. Don't rally him. Well, I don't have any public comments that I would like to make. I think that that was an issue between, there are two separate opinions on that. I don't have an opinion on that. So I think so.
That'd be great.
Okay, I'll ask some questions on that. Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Next item on the agenda is unfinished business. We have a second and final reading of Bill 2023-4.
Bill 2023-4, an ordinance for the city of Cameron, Missouri, authorizing a conditional use permit for Darren and Carissa Emerson to operate a bed and breakfast business in an R2 two-family residential district at 620 West 3rd Street.
Chair will entertain a motion to pass Bill 2023-4 on the second and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
I have a question. Tim's not here.
No, he isn't, but Greg Harris is here representing.
Okay, question. This all looks good. I'm all happy with it. My only question is, they have certain things that they need to follow to continue with their conditional use permit, right?
Yep.
Okay. My question is, how is anybody gonna know if they're not fulfilling that?
I'm pretty sure the neighbors would let us know.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure they will too. I was just wanting that, to just know that, it's so if they report it to
Oh,
you,
yes,
we will
absolutely.
investigate.
Yeah,
Okay.
it would be a code violation similar to.
Okay, that's the only thing, I just didn't know how this would work, okay. Because, yeah, all right, that's all my questions.
Thanks, Greg. Thank you.
Dennis M. Clark.
Yes.
Becky Curtis.
Yes.
Julie Osmond.
Yes.
Alexander Williams.
Yes.
Roy Estes.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is new business. We have a first reading of Bill 2023-5.
Bill 2023-5, an ordinance authorizing a management agreement for the Cameron Aquatic Facility by and between the City of Cameron, Missouri and the Cameron Park Board and Midwest Pool Management.
Chair will entertain a motion to pass Bill 2023-5.
So moved.
Second. Discussion.
I've asked Neil Cooper to come in and give us a quick rundown on that. Mayor. Pull that mic over just a little closer.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right, on the park board voted on January 26th meeting to move forward with the Midwest Pool Management to operate in the aquatics facility. This type of management has proven successful in the years past, allowing the park board to concentrate on the facilities and the management company to provide the management experience they have for running aquatic facilities. This year, the season shall commence Saturday of Memorial Day weekend, May 27th, and run through Sunday, August 20th, 2023. The Midwest Pool Management is a flat management fee of $84,965. The park board has reviewed all the bids and recommends approval of the attached 2023 management agreement. Any questions?
How many bids did you guys get?
I believe there was 3.
Okay. And is this the lowest bid?
I know there was one other bid, I'm not quite sure on all that, but it did get
Yes.
released. This was the lower
It is,
bid.
yeah, probably was. USA also put a bid in, which was quite a bit higher.
Yeah.
And then there was one that was discontinued or
Yes.
disqualified.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Did you say 87,000 was the flat management fee?
$84,965.
And that's over above all hourly costs?
Salaries.
They take
Salaries.
care of all that.
Yes, that's the management fee.
Okay.
Product and everything.
Okay. Did they give you, or was this, how big of an increase was this over last year?
I'm not sure on that, I don't have a number in front of me.
I do not have last year's number.
I've got the contract here from last year. I know the management fee was $37,000 last year, and the management was $37,000, and the salaries, the salaries was $134,000 last year for 2022.
Salaries were $134,000?
Mm-hmm. And the management fee was 37 something, so it went from 37 to 84.
Why?
I don't know, I have some questions. So I called, first let me ask some questions. Was there any communication from the park board to the MPM, Midwest Management, concerning their bid?
Yeah, there was some concern on it.
Was there any communication?
That I'm not sure.
I can tell.
I think there was between Steve.
No, there wasn't.
Okay.
I contacted Chad, The only thing he got was way early in the month, some questions concerning staffing of the pool. I said, so, and he actually looked at his mail while he was on the phone with me, and there was nothing. And I happen to know that the park board asked Steve quite a few times to get some response from NPM, and they didn't get any until last week.
Well, I do have, Chad is one of their, group individuals in Kansas City. Chrissy is the representative out of St. Louis, and I do have an email where it shows that her and Steve had talked about this.
Okay.
She sent an email to Steve.
When was this?
The date on this is, I got a copy of it on February 1st. I'm not exactly sure if that's the original.
She
date.
actually gave a correspondence last week, I believe. Help me out, Matt, you guys got something?
I don't remember a specific date on it.
It was last week.
I think so.
It was last week after, it's funny because it's after I made my phone call. I made my phone call to Chad on the January 30th, and they got some explanation. Actually, it was in an email from Chrissy last week, later in the week. If that's the one you're talking
Yeah,
about.
that's one
Yeah.
I've seen.
Yeah, that's when they got it. Which was after they passed it. Park board passed it on the 20-something of January, and needless to say, I was there and I watched them all, and they were not happy with it, and so it ended up, since it's going to be in my lap now, I had to do my due diligence, and the devil is in the details, and that's kind of what I've gone and done, is done a lot of research on this to get information since they didn't have any information. And so they are, the park board felt that they were under a time frame, but that was rough last year. The park board will tell you how rough it is. Neil, were you a part of what happened last year?
Yeah, I come in May, so.
And city council, are you aware of what happened last year in our pool?
I'm aware.
I'm aware of some of the issues.
Okay, all right. And I also know that, that's all I wanted to ask you, Neil,
Okay.
about that. I do have some questions for Chrissy. Is Chrissy here?
She's not here this evening, she couldn't make it.
I thought she was going to be here.
Yes, I had asked her if she came, and she told her she had a conflict, she was not going to make it.
Well, I asked Chad if they would have been at the park board meeting, and Chad said from NPR that he would be more than glad to have been there if he was asked. He wasn't, so he wasn't there. So the park board had to make a decision in the dark. And that really saddens me that the park board had to do that. It saddens them. And so therefore, again, I felt obligated to get down to the bottom of what really happened and why it happened. So there's a wealth of information I have. Number one, all pools must have a CPO, a certified pool operator's license. I do not know if the management had that last year. If we ran a pool, we would. I don't know if lifeguards got audited. I do know that they were trained under Safeguard, StarGuard. I found that out today. I don't know if they got audited with it or not. I also know that they put in their bid $6 over, if you look at the salary, they put $6 on top, every salary, every hour for their salary, which includes their social security, that's fine, but $6, that's pretty high. Because I know for a fact that they're going to be paying $12 because I talked to Chad about it.
Well, what was the hourly salary last year for guard? Let's just say guard.
Okay, last year, and I happen to know what they were paying too.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, no, actually on this last year, the guard was paid $14.54. It looks like that's what they get paid an hour, but that's not what it is. They got paid $11.20.
Okay,
If I look
now
at
you
it.
do know that Mr. Minimum wage is going up to $12.
I know that.
Okay.
I know that. Yeah. So they did, and they did. So if you took what they did this year, which is $18 for a lifeguard. $18 for a lifeguard. Well, I know for a fact that they're going to start at 12. I know that because I talked to Chad. He said that. So if you take
19 for lifeguard.
okay, 19. So they get paid 12. Yeah, add some taxes in there and Social Security that the employer needs to pay for. But we're talking 12 all the way up to 19 per hour. So I would just like to know what that is. Because I did the calculations myself on what the city would pay, and it's usually, I didn't get to do comp, we already had comp, but I didn't add that in, but I did the tax, and it's like $1.50 more, for $12, it's $1.50 more on that.
Do you have lifeguards with varying degrees of experience?
Not last year they did, last year they all, again, I know this because I asked, last year they all had to pay $200 to go to a place in Kansas City to get trained, and then that was it. I don't know if they got audited or not. I've not been able to get clarity on that, but I do know they went to Starguard. So, but I do know they paid $200 a smack for each child.
And did the company pay for that, or did they pay for that out of their pockets?
Out of their pockets. I asked the moms, they know. Just like I do when I do mine. And they say that they're paying for chlorine this year. Well, sure enough, they paid for it last year because we don't have any record of paying for chlorine. And the bid last year said that we would take care of those chemicals, and I found out today that we didn't, that they did. Well, also in the bid last year said that they would do the winterizing of the pool. They did not. Crothers did. Crothers opened it. They put a bid in last year to close it. They didn't, but we paid for it. And so, I mean, there's just a lot of misunderstanding in all of this. If you start figuring out if you really kind of know what's going on, there's just an awful lot that was not put in the bid that should have been put in the bid. And that way there could be clarity between the park board and MPM, which I think would be nice for all of the people that are paying for this. And that way, if that does turn out to be that figure, at least they would know why. And right now they don't. And I just think that is an injustice to the taxpayers of our city for us to allow that to happen. And I'm not. So I would just like, and I've got more, if you guys want to know, I could sit here for 30 minutes and go on, because ask Matt. I've been telling him all the information, and I've got a mammoth amount of it. I will tell you, there was a complaint. Okay, one thing I can tell you, that in their contract, if they get a complaint on the pool, within 24 hours it will be taken care of or dealt with. Well, I know they had a lot of complaints over the music last year. This is a minor one, not to mention the people that broke their ankles and, fell off boards and, that happened. And the complainers were told that the music list is out of their control.
That's not true.
Oh, really? Tell me.
When I went to the pool over the summer, I'm just in there swimming. A song comes on, and then it skips to the next song. It skips to the next song. It skips to the next song. So someone's there controlling.
Oh, that was nice. That would have been lovely, because this was a mother that told me this, and this is what she was told.
Someone was controlling the sound, or they found a way to, and it's pretty easy to do, just to Bluetooth your phone to a speaker and play whatever you want.
Well, you would think so, but that isn't what this mother was told, and I'm only repeating what she said. So I'm hoping that's the true case. That would be lovely. That would be one small thing that they could deal with. I do know that a lot of the lifeguards that were there last year are not coming back this year if it's NPM. So we'll have to have a whole new staff. No, that's not true. We'll have to have we will not have a lot of returning. I know for a fact. So that's something to think about.
Can I direct a comment to Matt Arndt, who's the president of the park board? Houston, is that okay?
The mayor, you're the chairman.
I absolutely, come on down.
He doesn't have to come down. I'd just like to know, what if we don't go with NPM, what are your options?
That's what I'm here tonight to find out.
Okay. Do you have any options at the moment?
The options that have come to the park board are the 3 bids that were submitted.
Okay.
So if it's not Midwest Pool, then it falls to the USA Pool that was around $100,000 more expensive. That's what's come to the park board so far.
Has the park board discussed, because of the timeline, that maybe just to go ahead and go with Midwest Pool and then have a plan in place for next year to maybe do local?
That was a hopeful scenario, yes.
Okay. Well, here's what I can tell you from experience. If you're going to have high school kids working at the pool, you need to have someone that's quite a bit older than they are managing them. Because one of the things that the kids don't understand is that they're not there for themselves. The music's not there for themselves. The music's there to entertain the people that are there. They are the customer and they're the ones that need to be entertained. So that would be my only concern, is that if you are having high school kids do it, you need to have somebody, you know, and I'm not saying that high school kids are not mature, so Jimmy, don't print that. But if you've got someone, you need someone that's older with more maturity than they are, so that they can make sure things are going right. But I guess my concern is, if because of the timeline, we don't have any other options, do we just keep the pool closed? What do we do?
No.
Do you have some options?
I do. I've
Okay.
been working diligently on it, but it's just, I know exactly everything that needs to be done to run that pool. I do. I even know how much the chemicals cost. I know exactly where they should go to get lifeguard training. I know where to go to get the CPO, the certified pool or operator's license, which I don't know if NBN has one, and I don't know if they have them, but you should. I've spent the last week learning, right, Matt? You've been listening to me.
Okay, so what are your options?
Well, the options are this. The only thing I do know is that if we go with Ellis and possibly Red Cross, I was talking to them today. If we go with Ellis, they will reimburse the city on lifeguard materials that these kids in NPM didn't get. There's not, it's just totally separate. So that pulls us all together. And NPR really probably should have known what was going on with NPM, because they did have accidents and they were not reported. And we're now finally getting that taken care of because it wasn't.
Okay, but Ellis is not a management company. It's simply,
No.
it trains the lifeguards, and that's what Red Cross does. But what my question was what are your options for management?
Oh, I have none. I have none.
Okay.
No. And it was a bid. You can't go get somebody else without, no, you can't do that. There was a bid, it's taken place, sorry. You have to leave that alone. That's done. Unless you want to rebid again, and that we don't have time for. But they can rescind NPM if they find something else they want to do. That's all I know. They're not stuck to that.
So what are you proposing?
I don't know what I'm proposing. I have the kids that are not coming back this year will come back if the city takes it. And I did have a manager willing to take it, but she didn't think the city was taking it, so she decided she wasn't going to.
Well, first of all, I think that has to go through the park board first, not the city.
It does.
Okay.
It does. I know that. The park, believe it or not, the park board knows that I'm doing this. They know that I'm looking into this, and they were on board for it. I called them, talked to them. So this isn't new to the park board. It is to us. It is to us. So that's all I'm saying is, I'm not. I I would like to give them another opportunity to maybe come up with something, or get preferably a better idea of what MPM is charging and why. I would be happy with that.
So you want to send this back to the park board?
Yeah, I do. And not even vote on it, let them kind of just, get another shot, maybe get some more information from NPM, now that they know that we've been digging around, maybe they'll give us some information, and then I'd be happy.
Matt, are you okay with that?
I guess my only question would be, what we would be considering.
That's right.
If there is another viable option to consider that we are able to consider, like, for example, if the city chose to run it internally, and there was a viable path forward for that, something that we could actually consider. But if we're just continuing to consider the bid, and the jump between this bid and the next one was pretty significant. So that would be my evaluation, and I'm just one of 9.
Okay, so I've had several park board members call me,
Okay.
and their concern is the timeline. They don't feel like that we have time to rebid it.
We don't.
Fine. Okay, well then, I don't really have any other options. But one of the things that they did say, and that's why I asked Matt if it had been discussed at park board, was that maybe it's not the best option, but right now it's the only option. But if they take this option, then they will work over the winter to have something different in place that maybe somebody local can do it. Is that right?
Yes,
That was the question.
looking at it right now, that seems to be the most likely scenario going forward that we would look at least.
They weren't happy with the bid either, but they kind of felt like that they would get more bids in, which they did not. They were a little shocked that it was that much more than it was last year, but my understanding was that Carruthers opened the pool and Carruthers closed the pool, that was something that Midwest Pool is going to do this year, and like you said, pay for the chlorine. And if you remember listening to Zach Johnson about chlorine last year for the water treatment plant, it had gone up almost 4 times the cost. So that's probably what it is.
I don't know, it'd be nice to know. I personally would like to know, because, if I'm voting for this, I'm not going to vote for, no.
Well, did you not ask them that question when you called them?
Who?
Midwest Pool Company. Did you not ask them why the bid was so much higher, other than the prices in the...
Chad really didn't know. Everything I asked Chad, he says I have to talk to Chrissy.
Okay, the other thing is that I know that Midwest Pool manages lots of other pools in the area, like Kansas City or St. Joe, something like that. So, just wondering if the cost is based on the fact that if we have to have somebody from one of those areas come and substitute lifeguard, do they pay those down in Kansas City? That's just...
Those are good questions. Those are very good questions. In fact, those are good, nice questions that I think we could still get from NPM, even if the bid stays the same. It's just, well, first of all, it's horrifically high. I know what chlorine was for last year. There was an invoice for it. This was last year, and it was never filled. But it was an invoice, and I got it. It's $6,500. So, thanks to Carmen, she pulled that out real fast today. But it wasn't filled. So I don't know. It was for the pool. It was invoiced, but it wasn't filled. So that tells me that Midwest Pool paid for the chlorine, and it wasn't in their contract to pay for the chlorine. That's just kind of how things have been going. I kept finding all kinds of stuff like that. So, seriously, if we have a contract, I'd like for something to be in the contract that says you will hire an adult, something like that. Or we have say over, I don't know, just have a little bit. The one thing they did want, I do know the park board, is they wanted to have a little more control over this contract, have a little more say in it. That's another thing I know. Correct, Matt? Is that right? I don't want to be mis-talking.
Well, is it
I
that...
don't know that was a position of the board as a whole.
Okay, so I've talked to enough of them that they, okay. good point, but I did talk to them.
Because, I mean, we're gonna do a second reading on it. If they wanted that, they could probably get that in there before the second reading, or does that change things? So,
You could pass it as amended.
you could do what?
You could pass it as amended if you end up
Okay.
making revisions in between
So I guess you still got some
first reading
time.
and second reading.
Do you, Matt, do you guys meet between now and our next meeting?
Our next meeting is in 2 weeks from this Thursday, I believe, the fourth Thursday of February, without calling a special meeting.
Our next meeting is the 27th.
Okay. So it sounds like you might be meeting before us, because our second meeting in February is the 27th, is what Shelley just said.
In my understanding,
Yes,
right,
the 23rd is our regular February meeting.
this was voted on by the park board, so, 2 members of the prevailing vote would have to make a motion and second to bring it back up, since it's already been voted on, or no?
Could, or this could just be under further discussion of the agreement and the recommendation by the park board to the city council. Because it's not a reconsideration at this point. Nothing's been finally approved yet.
So do we have any say in what music they're playing, how, I mean, any type of management side of this?
The way the contract's currently worded, there's no references to the music.
It does say if there's a complaint, that they would handle it in 24 hours.
There's nothing that says, the playlist is finally approved by.
Right, no. But I don't know.
It used to be like a radio station, if I'm correct. Yeah.
We didn't used to use the first thing, we used to liquor, we didn't have one of those.
I don't remember what station it was, I just remember it was something like that.
It really doesn't matter too much what the playlist actually is, if it's a radio station or a playlist, as long as you can get your phone hooked up to the speakers, you can play whatever you want.
I understand that, but if we have a rule that you can play only,
Actually, when you do that in a public setting, you have to pay the royalty fees. So we do have an agreement that we pay annually for royalties for those type of things. I would just have to check and see if it covered the pool, or if that's something they have to cover.
I would also note that all management under the agreement has to be done under the reasonable rules and regulations of the city of Cameron. So if the park board and the city would like, you could adopt something regarding some of the music that is selected to be played at city events or at city facilities.
Can we also adopt that anybody who runs the pool, I must have a certified pool operator's license?
You could.
Because
That
I
would
don't-
also, that would fall under the compliance with laws provision, because that's required by the Department of Natural Resources.
Missouri doesn't require that from what I've read, but they say they suggest it, they heavily suggest it, but I don't think it's one of the states that requires it, but it doesn't matter. I would require it. I think the city should require it.
Again, all of this management is subject to your reasonable rules and regulations under the agreement. They manage it based on what you tell them is management.
Okay, that's good to
So-
know. That's good understanding. So that's the problem. Because I really don't like getting into this. I didn't sign up for this.
I mean, I have parental controls set on my kids' music. I was in high school where I'm a little helicopters, but I don't understand why we can't put this requirement in for public music.
Okay,
You're saying you can, but it would have to be them, not us?
Could be either of you, because, I'm guessing this rule would also apply to music that would be played in this chamber.
question.
Yes, I have a question that might be for Patrick more than anybody. Am I interpreting correctly that, or understanding correctly that because this was bid out under a bid solicitation, the only changes that effectively we could make to that are through rulemaking and regulations on our side as opposed to changing the terms of the bid solicitation?
It goes both ways. Again, 2.3
have the ability to alter how the management manages? Is that?
Again, at the end of the day, you are hiring a company to manage your facility. So, and obviously, unless you adopt a rule saying that you can't save anybody that's drowning, I'm guessing they're gonna agree to the rule or regulation change.
As long as we don't get too crazy and they withdraw.
Yeah, exactly. You also do have the right to terminate the contract at any time upon written notice as well.
Okay. So, are we gonna proceed with the first reading and, can we do the first reading and then do the amendments if?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
One more point to bring up, if this comes back to the park board for discussion at our next meeting on the 23rd, it would then have to go back to Midwest Pool for acceptance and execution on their side, which means it's highly unlikely it will be back to council in time for your next meeting, which is going to cause further delays.
What kind of heads up do we, I don't want to delay the pool closing unless absolutely.
Last year, I believe the contract with Midwest Pool was signed early March.
March 3rd,
Because there is some legitimate concerns,
7th.
obviously. If we can get those and have those addressed and come up with something we can all agree on that addresses those concerns and more of an itemized list, is that what you're? 'Cause I think it would be great to bring this back in-house. But it seems to me like we're at a point in time that's going to be extremely difficult. But
That was effectively the conversation at the last park board.
okay, so I would say whatever city staff we need to learn what we don't know, it behooves us, the park board, to learn it. So you got more options next year. At the end of the season, if you need to start going forward for the following season, you're gonna know what you're talking about. And what all the numbers are. It kind of seems like you just build a $1 million pool and now we may have to not open it if we don't approve this contract. Or not open it on time. I mean, you're assuming you're gonna be able to get everybody trained and hired and.
Well, and basically, the public wants to open on time because we kind of shorten it at the end when school starts. You know, and that's our timeline, but a lot of people stay open until over Labor Day weekend. We don't, because we just don't have the staff to do it because they're high school.
Right.
And they're involved in other activities.
We really just need to go ahead and proceed, in my view, realistically, to hire the people in-house. We've been trying to hire 10 people for city staff, and we struggled on that. And so we hire people that are competent, that can do this in addition to the guards that are trained properly, in addition to the people that treat the pool. I see it setting us up to fail. The other side of the coin is also, the more difficult we are to work with, the easier it is for them to just simply walk away from it and say, you know what, the pain threshold is too high, not interested. Now we have a bigger problem. We can either pony up and pay more or probably fail. Because I just don't see how we're going to do it. So the park board's recommended it. They spent a lot of time on it. This is in their circle of competence, and I'm going to support the park board's recommendation. I think we should proceed forward.
All of them didn't like it at all. All of them. They didn't like it. They had to hold their notes when they did it because they had nothing else and there was nobody there to ask questions to. Can you imagine that? That was awful.
Can we make sure we have those people at their disposal? I mean, even if you had a conference call, you can ask all the questions you want.
That was not what I was doing.
I mean, is that not an option?
I
The
might-
thing
I
there,
might
I'd like
just
you to
add-
hear.
I might just add that if you guys did discuss this at your meeting on the 23rd, we could do like we did the comprehensive fee to be updated the next day because your guys' fees weren't on there. So we updated it on Friday on the web and sent it out to council. If you guys did come up with an agreement, an amended agreement on Thursday, we would have until Monday to get the actual, they could send me a signed copy of that agreement. That would work for this meeting.
We are gonna have back-to-back meetings. We'd have the 27th and then March 6th is another meeting.
Yeah.
So if the last contract was signed on March 7th, that would still be within the timeline. That's typically okay for opening the pool.
So we have a couple of options. If you wanted to make changes, we could make it work.
Changes to
The agreement.
the NPM contract. Okay.
But we still wouldn't need an additional reading if we started from here, made those changes. Okay. I mean, Julie, you're the only one in this room that's actually read one of these, so I'm very curious about your opinion on this.
You can do it in-house if you find the right people.
Yeah, I second that because I've done all the back, all the work in what is required.
Could you do it in 60 days, or?
Probably not, because you probably can't get the guards trained that soon. Red Cross mostly does theirs in the summer, so if someone wanted to be a lifeguard, they would take Red Cross training in the summer. Ellis does it all year round. I mean, I remember the one year that we did Ellis, that the guards, we already knew who the guards were, and they were taking their training in January. So those are just some things you have to find out, but it can be done.
I had a conversation with Red Cross today, and March, April, all available for February. So that's all starting, even with Ellis. Charles Anderson in Liberty, he said yes. He's ready. He even told me how much it was going to be. It was $100 for research, then $165 for first timers, and he would come to our pool. That's just the simple one.
Well, he would come to your pool, but your pool's not going to be ready to do lifeguard training.
But they can go down, they can go anywhere in the Liberty, they can go down, they can go down.
Right, that's what I.
Certified to train these,
Right.
correct?
Yep, you have to find somebody to certify.
Which isn't hard because I've already looked.
Well, it's hard for Red Cross, because with Red Cross, you have to have what's called the WSI, which is a water safety instructor, and we don't have very many of those around here.
Right. Well, whatever. I talked to her today, so that was not a problem. She didn't have any problem, but that's just what she told me. We could even put two people through Red Cross instruction training, so that then we can do in-house training of our own guards with instructors that we get hired. Not hired. We hire people to become instructors to lifeguarding. I didn't know that. That was cool. And that way, all of our lifeguards would get trained by our instructors, who are also women leaders. There's a lot of things that can happen.
I'll share a couple more comments, and I'll respectfully disagree. The way public criticism takes place in this community, I highly doubt you're going to be able to hire somebody to run that public entity and go through the criticism that's going to take place. The other thing is, as a business person, you tend to go in and out, or the third basket is too hard, and so you just dispose of it. And so the harder we are to negotiate with, the more we drag it out, the more demanding we are, the easier it is for them to say, you know what, we're not going to make enough money on this to endure this, and they walk away, and then we're left with a bigger problem.
So, but I don't think some of these safeguards that we're asking about.
No, there's certainly reasonable things to request.
I
don't
mean-
disagree with that.
The city also got a big black eye last year because of the way they handled the pool. So yes, the criticism was there,
Okay.
majorly.
Okay, so I'm going to comment on that. It was not the city's job to handle the pool.
I agree, that's true.
Okay, so I think what you have to remember is that when you hire a management company, you're turning it over to the management company.
That's true.
And the management company, in this case, would deal with the park board to handle those, not the city. And I think that probably needs to be made clear that the city's not running the pool, the management company's running the pool, and if there's a problem, they need to be going through the park board and the management company, not through the city.
year, the park, did you guys get any notices of anything last year when things went wrong?
Only when it was my kid that got hurt.
Okay, so I think everything went through Steve last year, if I remember correctly, right? They called you when there was issues?
Not very much. I went down there a couple of times when there were issues, but I did not get calls from them.
Okay. Yeah, there was, no, you got calls about the parties. That didn't work very well last year, so yeah, that was a real mess, but you got calls on the parties, because they didn't know how that worked. But anyway,
There was that.
yeah, it was that.
And I understand we're going to reach out to a firm to address any safety concerns with any equipment?
Well, yes, that's the issue with the slide. There are two parts of that. One, the company that built it and the company that designed it, they all say that it is okay. I went down specifically and asked about any accident reports. They could give me no accident reports. So we're looking for some evidence of that. However, I've now found out that there are some people who come forward and said that they did have some accidents. So I said, I'd like to see those accident reports and the doctor reports. And we're going out and asking for a private, a third-party safety investigator to come in and investigate it both sides and see what the truth of it is and what needs to be done, if anything, to make any changes. That way we get a safety inspector to come in and look at all of that and give us the answer, rather than just dealing with things that are said we don't have evidence of.
I did talk to the engineer of our pool and asked him about that. He said that they really couldn't do anything about the slide because it was the manufacturer that did that. So, but he did, suggested something that Mr. Eric Stevens suggested to us, which was put something on the slide. And I said that to him, and he goes, hey, that's a great idea. We can look into that. So there, and I told him to get a hold of you when they figure something out. Eric.
Okay.
So.
I mean, I see that as a problem, because even in healthcare, everything gets an incident report. Anything weird, wild, anything happens, you write it up, then you figure out the why. If it's a recurrent thing with a certain slide, you know that there's a problem there you need to address. If you don't know those things, if it's just either disregarded, we can't ever fix it. And any new anything, especially a project like that, you're going to have some things you're going to have to address. It's just all there is to it. But if we don't know, we can't fix it. If the park board doesn't know, sorry about that, they can't address it. So I would say my suggestion is let's do this first step. I don't know who needs to get together or how to put that concern list or what did you call it, Counselor? Any changes we had to this contract?
It would just be approved as amended.
So any changes we need to request that the park board place in this, if they approve it, and it comes back to us, we have one reading and still have time to open the pool if we do that, or hopefully we still have time to do something else that is out of everybody's control.
How do you feel about that, Matt?
I have, I guess, just a couple general thoughts in kind of competing directions. One would be exactly what was just said. We work towards a negotiation and find a better end product that's workable for everyone and better for the community. The flip side of that is, as Councilman Clark has said, Midwest Pool is already well aware that the park board's approved the contract as written. So after they've already signed it, going back and saying, no, we want to change this is likely not going to leave a good taste. So just not giving any thoughts either way, just pointing out the two sides of that coin.
Do they understand that the council has the final say on that, though?
I would assume so.
Okay. You might ask them.
I haven't talked to them at all.
I mean, some of the concerns didn't seem like they're concerns that we couldn't overcome. I mean, but as long as you have the power to say, well, this is wrong, you can't do it, or you're changing this. I don't, it's not gonna cost them a bunch of money to change those things. So, I don't understand why they wouldn't. But I could be wrong.
I think a lot of it is going to be something that wouldn't even necessarily have to be written into the contract. We just address it with them and they would cooperate. You would hope that anyway.
I would hope that, but if it ain't written down, it didn't happen.
Steve, I'd like to revisit what you were saying about not getting notified of any accidents. When the pool opened last summer, I had sent a private message to one of the managers there asking how everything went. And she told me that there was an accident, someone hurt their foot, and Steve came and addressed it. And I don't know if that's you, Steve Garr, or one of their Steves, but I was told that week that there was an accident.
Yeah, what happened there was I had heard that someone hurt their foot on that. And so I went down there right away and I said, could I see the accident report so we could take and view it? And the girl was there said, sure. And she looked through the notebook of reports and there was no report there. And I said, what happened to the report? She said, well, maybe it's already been forwarded. Like to their headquarters. I asked for that and there was never any report. And I said, when there's an accident there at the pool, we didn't know about that day. And they said, yes, they would do that. And we never got any report of any other accidents.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. I was confused.
So who would that be initially reported to?
The pool management company, isn't that right? If we're hiring a pool management company, they work for the pool management company, they don't work for us. They work for them, and that's where they should, and then the pool management company should contact either the park board. Or contact the park board.
Do they call Steve, the management company, or the president of the park board? I mean, is there a chain of command?
Park board hires them. I don't know why Steve would be involved with
Not
that.
mine, this Steve Garber.
I know who you're talking about. I don't know, he's not, yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so in the contract, it says that the managers will take a daily log of communications with whatever they get communications with the city for designated city personnel to review on a daily basis. It also says that they will keep detailed records of any pull-outs. Pull-outs, whenever they go get somebody. They need, they're records, they keep them, they should be there. So, that they keep everything, they manage it, but they also, most all of this says that it is open to be looked at by city officials or whoever needs to see it. So those are supposed to be there. I don't know if they are, that's one of my questions for Chrissy. But it's in the contract, it says they're there, I don't know.
So I'm not going to deny the park board's role in this, but the city council appoints the park board, and the city council approves this contract. We have a degree of responsibility in what goes on.
I agree with that. But you know what? At some point, there's going to be so many people in the middle of this that nothing's going to get done. There is a chain of command that should be followed, and we're at the end, the top of the chain of command. So it starts down here, but like I said, we don't hire them. They work for the park board.
No,
I think we sign,
I'm saying that if we don't approve this, then nobody gets hired.
I would note that the contract is to be signed by the city manager.
that's what I thought, it's a city.
And then all notices under the agreement.
He signs it.
Oh, I thought you said he designed it.
No, he signs it. He signs it. Which
No,
would
it's
be ours.
And then
make it ours.
I would also note that all notices under the contract are to go to Steve Garr. That is in the contract.
Well, city staff is our.
No, city staff is
Okay, and yeah, we're his boss.
right. City staff is
Okay, well, the buck stops with us, that's all I'm saying.
I would like to go ahead and move forward
Yeah.
and get the first part of this done. But I also want those concerns that you have addressed.
I don't know how you would do that, but it's nicely said.
You got all over there.
Well, I know, but I'm just a person that digs for information. I'm not the board, and they're gonna do, they get, whatever. I don't know if it can happen. I don't know if they, I don't know how that's gonna work out. I wish the best for them.
But we can ask.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yes, we can collect all of these concerns, get it back to Midwest Pool and address it with the park board so they can see at their next meeting and talk about it. We can find out most of those.
And can we possibly have, at the next meeting, somebody from that company?
Well, I can't hold the gun to their head, but I'll do everything I can to get them here.
Chad told me he would come. He just didn't get an invite. And would that be this next one, right? The
I don't know
23rd?
if we need a vote, we have the full invitations on there.
Okay.
Okay? All in favor of passing Bill 2023-5, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
3 in favor, 2 opposed. Well, and I know I won't be part of the council this time next year, but I would really like for our city staff to know every in and out of that pool, to be able to give the park board and the council next year more options, more viable options.
I called the engineer and I said, hey, do you guys have a manual for this pool? Because nobody knows how to run it. So they're gonna, Carruthers is gonna be here and educate the pool and the staff, so park board and staff, so yeah.
Well, I mean, you're gonna be able, if we have part of our staff there, you see how many hours they spend pressure washing the whole thing, you're gonna have a better idea of what your costs are for opening and closing it. We all have the numbers for every hour of the lifeguards, and I'll be able to, it's math, whether you still wanna do it. Okay.
Yeah, and we'll watch that very carefully all this year so we can find out exactly what we need. I had asked Amy, our HR director, and Carmen here, so we watch the numbers and the people. We'll be knowing what it is we have to do. Should we have to take some other action next year, we'll start watching it from day one.
They did it before, it's possible they could do it again, but you gotta be able to answer those questions. Okay, well, that's fun. Next item on the agenda is the first reading of Bill 2023-6.
Bill 2023-6, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Cameron, Missouri, updating the comprehensive fee schedule for regulating and assessing fees and service charges, amending the City of Cameron zoning ordinance in conflict with the fee schedule, providing an effective date for applicable changes, and authorizing future updates to the fee schedule be made by resolution.
Chair will entertain a motion to pass Bill 2023-6.
So moved.
Second,
Moved and seconded. Discussion.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask Neil to come up again. He can go through it. He was at the park board, got their recommendation. He can run through that for you. I believe you have a copy of that, your places.
Real quick, I might add on there that when we created the comprehensive fee schedule with ordinance 6199, we did update the zoning amendment fee in there, but it was listed in the zoning code in 2 different places, and this will hit the place that I forgot. So it got changed in one place and not the other, it still have the old amount. And also included on here, which does not require any code or zoning changes, was addition of some of the miscellaneous police fees that we have for background checks, ID cards for door-to-door vendors, and their service for, if the public wants, fingerprint cards. It's also included on the fee schedule. The rest of it's all parks.
All right, the park board has finalized their fee recommendations and are sitting in front of you. The park board recommendation fee schedule is what we've come up with at the very YMCA, the school, the Cameron Soccer Club, things like that. They have recommended a fee per team per season. So an example would be the 10U, U10, and younger is $100 per team per season. And then in addition to that, we have marking fees, and the park board is recommending that we allow the partner leagues the opportunity to mark their own fields as long as they have the equipment and the materials to do so. If they don't, they can approach the city, and any other buddy outside that partner league will have a marking fee charged, and the city will take care of that. We've also done a end of the season tournament fee, so that's going to be like the Y has an end of the season baseball tournament at the end of their season. There's a fee of $40 a field for all day, or $20 a field for half a day. And then moving on down, our non-league reservations and sport fields will be $15 an hour plus any marking fee, or $175 for all day for a tournament. Other fees on here are shelters, volleyball courts, basketball courts, tennis courts, and the pavilion is just a straight $10 an hour to reserve those. Also, we have done a fee for $25 an hour for the whole park, the whole McCorkle Park, sorry. A half day, they are considering, if you rent for a half day, is in increments of 6 hours. Anything over 6 hours will become considered a full day fee. Any questions?
How comparable are these with similar facilities elsewhere?
They are pretty comparable. We've tried to keep these fees as low as we can. I mean, for all the parties involved. Like I said, the park board's not out here to make money. They're just trying to maintain and upkeep their facilities and recoup a little bit of the cost that it's going to take to maintain these fields.
I actually called all out of area, and it's $15, a lot of tens. And then if you have lights in a lot of cities, they charge $25 for lights. They're not charging that. Yes, Matt, please.
One point of clarification, these are reservation fees, not usage fees. So just, if the fields are not being used, the intention is if somebody wants to go out and play catch or pick up game of some sort, go right ahead. These are reservation fees, which I think is an important clarification. It is.
Thank you. Thank
The
you.
same language, if I may add, there was some issues last year with the McCorkle Park in the Acon.
Questions came up as to whether an event was required to pay the reservation fee, and they're assuming you have the PDF that I said and the criteria that we settled on for when we will actually require the reservation to be made is under two circumstances: either if there's a gate fee being charged, or if the city requires a business license for the event. Outside of that, the parks are there for free public use.
Thank you for that clarity,
Yeah,
because I think
thank
we
you.
as a city needed that.
And I've already seen an ASA advertising for tournaments. That's a lot of people coming to town.
And
A lot of years.
there's been multiple other requests, and I've heard rumors of a national tournament also.
Cool.
Great.
Cool beans.
And it's hard to get, I mean, it's still gonna be full. Even without the lights, even the green space, there's just not enough diamonds in the area to get all these kids involved. Because everything's jammed into about 1.5. So, how are they going to decide who gets, is it first come, first serve on these reservations, or?
The intention is for the local leagues, the priority one we would like to see is for local kids first. So with the intention is, and the leaders of the local leagues have already started talking about breaking down their own schedules. The intention is to work that out, essentially block off those places, those dates first, and then block off the end-of-season tournaments, the other tournaments that we have already scheduled or proposed, and then open up everything else for anybody that would like to reserve a space Yeah, RecDesk is the name of the software.
Yes.
I don't know what the subscription fee is, but yes, there is one.
Anyone have any questions for us? I appreciate all the work the park board's done, and, it is a very nice complex. I've been to a lot of them, and I'm excited to see what that brings to the community.
I am too.
And thanks for coming here tonight and
Yes,
talking to us.
thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor of passing bill 2023-6, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Next item on the agenda is a full reading of bill 2023-7.
Bill 2023-7, an ordinance authorizing the city manager of the city of Cameron, Missouri to enter into a professional services agreement with Anderson Engineering for preparing final construction plans, specifications, and estimate of costs for the Griffin Road project.
Chair will entertain a motion to pass bill 2023-7 on the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Eric?
Good evening, Mayor and other council members. It's a pleasure to be before you with this item tonight. So the concept for a first and a final reading together for this instance is an exception for this work. We really need to get the engineers moving, and they're waiting on me now and collectively us to give them the go-ahead to be able to move forward with the design so that then we can get this to bid by the first week of April. So that would be our critical path is really here tonight. So we get this approved, then our engineers can run hard. And they're talking to them today. We've got all the information from our geotechnical. According to our schedule, we're really on pace. So I think we were ahead for a little bit, and now we kind of got back to the situation where they were waiting on me.
And what things will Anderson Engineering be doing for us?
They will do a complete design, so that would be plans and specifications, but also an engineer's estimate of probable cost. That will include the foundation for a bid tabulation, and that bid tabulation would then be used to bid the project and when we send out to bid. One thing I'd like to highlight is that we were looking at 2 separate bids, and with the concept of minimizing risk to the city, but also minimizing confusion with multiple contractors accessing the site at the same time, high potential for that, then we decided that it would be better for us to put these as one bid. So the contractor can then turn around and use a sub-bid. If the grading contractor decides, well, we don't really do paving, they can get a sub for that. And that would then allow us to step away from managing that field. You know, we're talking about athletics. It would be a rough field for me to be able to manage 2 different contractors coming to me and saying, referee, I really don't want to be in that situation because that increases our risk and our liabilities on the contracts, both of them. And cost. If I were going to bid that separately, I would actually increase, as a contractor, I would increase the cost. Knowing that I would have to put in more coordination time. And there would be multiple mobilizations. So really, we're going to reduce cost to the city by minimizing the number of mobilizations and demobilizations. Because what we would have in the other scenario, we would essentially have a mobilization, demobilization, and then we would repeat that. And the grading contractor would have to come back and really button everything up at the end and do the final grade after the paving was completed. So we wanted to expedite the contracts, but I think it's better that we go to one contract and we move this out to the right. So initially, we were going to have a contract awarded much earlier for grading, but it really doesn't make sense because we're not going to really get this done any sooner than that.
And with this, you're still on track to get it done by the 1st of June?
Absolutely. That schedule is completely doable. You know, that will be passed on to the successful bidder on the contract. But the engineers are holding us to the schedule at this point.
In your professional opinion, do you have any reason to believe that the costs have escalated in the past couple months since you started this?
During the past months, I don't know that we've seen significant increase since I came in December, but definitely over the last year, you would have seen an increase because the market has been changing to a great degree. We looked at bids over the last year, and the updates have increased the cost as we've got gathered an update on those cost estimates.
Thank you again for your great work.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Anyone else have any questions? All in favor of passing bill 2023-7, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Chair will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and pass bill 2023-7 on full reading.
So moved.
Second.
Becky Curtis.
Yes.
Julie Osmus.
Yes.
Alexander Williams.
Yes.
Roy Estes.
Yes.
Dennis Allen Clark.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is resolution 2023-2.
Resolution 2023-2, a resolution authorizing the Cameron, Missouri Police Department to apply for a 100% non-matching grant from the Missouri Department of Transportation to participate in Missouri's Highway Safety Program for 2024.
Chair will entertain a motion to pass resolution 2023-2.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Chief?
Mayor, Council, thank you. Chief Basher's handed out some stats that I pulled last couple of days. This is our yearly grant application process for MoDOT. It's the hazardous moving violation enforcement. MoDOT partners with law enforcement agencies across the state of Missouri. Their slogan is "Show me zero fatalities by," I think it's 2030. This is, like Shelley said, this is a 100% non-matching funded grant by MoDOT. It's for our officers to patrol the state highways in our city limits, which we have 6, 36, 69, I-35, Business 36, which is Grand Avenue, and State Route BB and A Highway. What we do, we allow there's 4 slots in a month that up to 4 officers can go out and patrol on these days. It's an 8-hour shift, and they get paid time and a half, and again, this is all funded by MoDOT. What MoDOT's looking for: speeding, too fast for conditions, improper lane change, lane usage, fail to yield, stop sign violations, red light violations, seatbelt violations, careless and reckless driving. On the second page that was handed out, we threw some stats in there. October of 21 through September of 22, which is the grant that just ended last year, our officers stopped 623 hazardous violation traffic stops, and we issued 185 summonses at those stops. I broke this down into 10 years, but I broke it down into 2012 to 17 and then 2018 to 22. We'll stick with the 18 to 22. We had 186 traffic accidents in 2018, and last year we reported 137. As you can see, our injury accidents have went down from 45 in 18 to 27 injury accidents in 22. Our victim injury is also, that's the occupants of the vehicle. Our victim injuries have went down. There were 65 in 2018. We had 43 injuries last year. The last 10 years, we've had 4 fatalities. 2 of those we believe were due to a medical condition. The fatalities we had in the last 10 years, one was at Cherry and 3rd, one was at Bob F and 36, 36 to 69, and then 21 was A Highway and Prairie. We had a fatal accident over there. Last year, the October 21 to 22, we focused our enforcement back out at Bob F and 36, which encompasses the I-35, US 36 corridor there. The reason for this is we had a 39% increase in traffic crashes at that intersection. So that is our high accident area. On the very last one there, that's our 10-year US 36 and Bob F. Griffin area, which is the I-35, and then US 36 and Ensign Trace. So in the last 10 years, our officers have worked 337 accidents at Bob F. I-35 area, compared to 52 accidents at the Ensign Trace US 36 area. So through our records management, we have come up with our high accident locations and high accident times. So this year, this grant period that we're in right now, we're focusing on that US 36 and Bob F. Griffin area. Our accident times, our high accident times through our records management system is between 2 and 5 p.m. And the high accident days is Wednesday, Monday, Thursday, and Tuesday. That is weird.
Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Okay.
Wednesday is our high traffic, that's our high accident day, yes.
Throughout the city too?
Well, this is all of the city. Yeah.
Ah, I don't know what that is. I guess.
Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
So we're just asking that we get approved to apply for the grant for the 23-24 year.
Anyone have any questions?
You did a great job.
Thank you and your officers for your service.
Thank you.
All in favor of passing resolution 2023-2, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Item carried. You're opposed. Next item on the agenda is resolution 2023-3.
Resolution 2023-3, a resolution for the City of Cameron, Missouri to authorize the creation of a new full-time job description in the City of Cameron's salary matrix, park maintenance worker.
Chair will entertain a motion to pass resolution 2023-3.
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded. Discussion.
Okay, we have another one for Neil, if you'll come up here to another parking.
All right. At the January 26th park meeting, they voted to create a new position of a full-time park maintenance worker. This position would assist in the maintenance required with the addition of the new grounds and new facilities would be required. The park board recommends the creation of the position of a park maintenance worker as per the attachment job description that you have. Have any questions?
Is this 100% out of Parks budget?
Yes.
But it also looks like a lot of it is similar to what we just hired in the city for
The replacements for the work release.
yes, because some of the same things are in here is there, which is take down stuff, it's fine, I'm glad to see it. That way, if he doesn't have something to do, he can always help the city.
One of the major differences was the facility maintenance people do not have to have a CDL, and I believe this position does.
Okay. Yeah, I see that.
That's one of the bigger differences.
I see that.
Yeah, we have another 100 acres to manage out there. We do have the money in the budget. And as you said, these people, as well as the people that are replacing the work release, they can work together and they will, sometimes they need to put a bunch of people at one and a bunch of people at the other, and they can do that and make the project work.
I think that's good.
Have we hired 2 people for the work release?
No, we haven't. We're still working on that. Amy, can you give us an update on that?
Yeah, we have one that is going through the pre-employment testing at this point. And if everything comes through on that, it'll start the 16th of this month.
So you still have another one?
The other one, they interviewed, we have reached out, but have not heard back from to move forward.
Do the positions pay the same?
No, the parks and no.
They don't?
The parks is at a higher level because of the CDL requirement.
Okay, I see that.
Anyone else have any questions, comments?
All right, thank you.
All in favor of passing passing resolution 2023-3, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Five in favor, 2 opposed. Next on the agenda is a second public participation. Wish to address the council, please come back to the podium. You can give 5 minutes. Seeing none, next item is miscellaneous comments from the staff. Neil, anything else?
I don't have anything, thank you.
Great.
I don't have anything.
Steve?
I just want to express appreciation for the public who showed up at the Public Works Open House, because I was afraid I'd be all alone, and we were pleasantly surprised that the turnout was really good. It was a good reflection of the community.
It's because you brought cookies.
It was because, yes,
And thank you to all involved organizing that. Chief? Dan?
no, thank you.
Chief?
No, sir.
Amy?
I just want to say that with all the hiring that we've been dealing with, it's a difficult process that we're getting people, we're getting interviews, and then they don't call us back, or, so we're trying to work through the process and get people in the positions and hopefully we can keep them. But right now it's just really tough to do, no matter what level of position we're hiring into.
That's too bad.
So. Bear with us, we're trying.
Now,
No, I know you are.
some of the people in the business community that I've spoken with lately, labor rates. I mean, supplies rough, but labor is tough to get, so that's what we want to take care of our city people. Carmen? Counselor?
Nothing.
Michelle?
I got all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
The end of January was the last day for us to officially be recognized as having a municipal court. Is over. Shannon and I took 16 huge banker's boxes full of records down to the county last week, and we were so happy to get rid of them. They were not near as happy to receive them. But they're very good sports about it, so we thank them very much for taking on that. At the last EDOC meeting, some council members expressed interest in possibly going to the chamber luncheons that are on the second Tuesday of the month. There is a chamber lunch on the 14th. It will be at the YMCA. If you guys would like to go, please let me know so that I can RSVP you, and also I can post an agenda if I need to. So I'll get back with you later this week.
Yeah, let us know exactly what that is. Yeah,
Okay.
that would be lovely to,
Right.
yeah.
Also, the holiday flowers that were placed at the cemeteries over the Christmas holiday, they need to be removed by February 10th. After that time, city staff will start removing those. They do hold a lot of that stuff, so if people don't get to the cemeteries until Memorial Day or whenever, and they're missing something that they left and they want back, we probably have it.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Who would they contact first?
If they go to the cemetery and Clay is there, he usually has a city truck. They can go to him because he's the one that's going to take them to they're protecting the shed out there. If there's nobody there, they can always call me and I'll make sure that they get with them so they can go get their stuff. I will be reaching out to the personnel committee, and Eva is meeting Becky soon. I have a couple of issues to schedule with you guys, so hopefully sometime in the next week. And I'm hopefully going to have a cemetery board meeting next week, because I do have 2 applicants for my board, and if I can get a recommendation for them, then they will be on the next agenda for appointment. I'm very happy about that. That's it.
So it worked for you. Alex, you asked people to be on board. Good luck.
You're welcome.
I'll go to you first.
Next item is miscellaneous comments from the staff, or from the council. Ms. Becker.
First, I want to thank the council for bearing with me today. I kind of tend to feel like I'm clogging my wheels, but I thank you guys for bearing with me tonight. And I also want to thank Mr. Stevens for the public meeting, because I heard good things from people that went, so they enjoyed that. And I really appreciate what our sports are doing and how well they're doing this year. So I want to say, go Cameron, they've done well. And I guess that's it.
Yeah, I want to reach out to the park board. You guys have opened up a new pool, you've opened up a new facility out here. It's a ton of work. Nothing ever goes completely as expected, particularly with big projects like this. And you have to work by committee or by board rather than just an individual. So I know it's a ton of work and thankless frequently, and I just wanted to say thank you to you, and please pass that on to the rest of your board, trying to help make Cameron a better place to live. Will do.
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to all the waiters and waitresses out there in Cameron. You rock. Keep it up.
Julie? Well, I gotta look at my phone for a reference on this. I'll get it right. Which did you tell me Congratulations to the undefeated Cameron Wrestling team, 47-0 in duels this year. Wow. That's fantastic. 47-0.
How long has it been since they've done that wrestling?
Huh? Yes.
How long has it been since they've done that?
I think they may have lost one last year.
Let's say 2 years. I think they lost to Helias Catholic last year at the Moberly meet, so.
It's amazing. It really is. And we're getting ready for districts in 2 weeks. So if you see a kid running around in sweats, trying to sweat, tell him to keep up with the order. He's almost there.
Where are districts this year?
Don't choke out these years. Where is it?
Kearney next year for the girls. I think it's in Excelsior Springs again this year for the boys. Is that right? Just one district for the girls because they split it in
Right.
two.
I'm at the board.
I think it's just a regular district, yeah.
Well, they don't have a regional now.
No. It's just a district. Yeah.
Top
just-
four come out of the district, you go straight.
Yep.
So they put a whole bunch more schools in it, so. I'm old, so my hands are all broke out. Thanks again to the board, park board. I know it's a lot to work through. The first year of anything is usually interesting. Go Chiefs. Fingers crossed, whatever your superstition is, please do that Sunday.
Hey, as long as we beat Cincinnati, I'm all right.
Super
Bowl's just icing on the cake.
I'm happy with Cincinnati, but I want to let you. That's all I got. First, thank you to the council. I think we can actually work together to get through any issues if we actually work together.
You're very welcome, Roy. Anytime.
Okay, next item is executive session. Carol, entertain motion.
So moved.
Who made a second?
Who seconded? Julie Osmond.
Yes.
Alexander Williams.
Yes.
Roy Estes.
Yes.
Dennis M. Clark.
Yes.
Becky Curtis.